The Imperial Survey and Exploration Corps was basically this group that the Empire had and would basically go out to wild space and other planets that were unexplored and, investigate them. So I feel like this would make a very good Star Wars TV show and would be kind of like a Star Trek version, but in Star Wars. Anyway, so this show is something that I completely fan-made, and it starts off in 15 BBY with the Imperial Star Destroyer Ajax sent into wild space by Emperor Palpatine to explore the region and given a relatively free hand in how to do so. In Episode 1 on the mid-rim planet of Bedlam, a stormtrooper detail is ordered to guard a shipment of cargo ships to wild space where Palpatine wants Imperial survey teams to bring artifacts to his Imperial palace on Coruscant to inspect. After putting down a smuggler rebellion, they decided that they should leave. Now, after the ships arrive, the scientists load aboard the cargo and jump to hyperspace to wild space. A squadron of vulture droids is reactivated and attacks the cargo ship, which damages the hyperdrive and sends it to an unknown coordinate. The ISD Ajax of the Imperial Survey and Exploration Corps is sent by Palpatine into wild space to investigate the region and explore the events of the mysterious disappearance of both the research ship and after Commander Doom's unit had disappeared a few months earlier. In Episode 2, the Ajax enters wild space and has a flight path to go through wild space and eventually enter the unknown regions. The first planet that they investigate is Mikra, a planet that is run by the Black Sun in hiding since the end of the Clone Wars. Several of the lower-level bosses are fighting one another to gain favor with Darth Maul, which Maul uses to maintain control and increase competition to earn profit. The Ajax decides to orbitally bombard the planet's spice facilities and leads a landing party to defeat the Black Sun and takes all the profits for themselves. In Episode 3, the Ajax arrives over the planet core to survey it and see it as a potential supply hub due to the planet being rich in many different chemicals and resources. Meanwhile, Separatist escapees on the planet seek to restore Count Dooku's vision for the galaxy and are preparing to launch a chemical and biological attack on Imperial worlds on the border with wild space and send a nuclear warhead to Coruscant. The Ajax destroys the radiological missile sent up by the Separatists to destroy the ship, and the Imperials overrun the firing center where they have weapons set to overload in order to get the Separatists to disarm them. A Jedi who escaped Order 66 is hiding on the planet Vivuzur, where the Ajax arrives and sends a survey team. The team discovers the Jedi's presence and debates whether or not to execute the Jedi after they finally capture him with non-lethal force. Eventually, the Ajax crew decides to take the Jedi with them and not report the incident to Coruscant after the Jedi is revealed to have been a heroic general in the Grand Army of the Republic and to have become a Grey Jedi since the rise of the Empire. Additionally, the Jedi knows a lot of the whereabouts of wild space in the region that they're in, so they seem as kind of useful. In Episode 5, a Yuuzhan Vong scouting party decimates the population of a small moon that was allied with the Empire in wild space that called the Ajax for help before it was destroyed. When the Ajax arrives, several shuttles of troops engage in combat against the Yuuzhan Vong on the surface of the moon. The Vong ship then retreats after the Ajax fires upon it. The Ajax then follows the ship through wild space, where it is agreed that destroying the ship would serve as a deterrent to the aliens for future attacks. The Yuuzhan Vong ship then has a malfunction and stops deep in space, where the Ajax then destroys it and then returns to its mission. In Episode 6, the Ajax arrives on the planet Nak, where a survey team finds a lost Imperial colony of Darth Malgus on the planet from the days of the Old Republic and his conquests. The population was augmented and enhanced to be smarter, faster, stronger, and have a better connection with the Force than ordinary people. There's quick conflict between the Survey Corps and the colonists when Palpatine instructs the Imperials to bring several of the colonists back to his palace on Coruscant for observation, and the colonists wanted to take over the Ajax to be able to use it to conquer more of wild space to form their new empire. The colonists defeated the Imperials on the ground and took their shuttle up to the Ajax, where they are eventually defeated by the crew. The remaining colonists are then left on Nak, where they apologize to a carbon-frozen Darth Malgus for not being able to create a better empire in his image in the last 3,000 years. In Episode 7, the Ajax is suddenly affected by a solar storm in deep space and receives a message from ISB Colonel Yularen sending them to a point in wild space where the anomaly began as the solar storm affected the entire galaxy. The location is an unknown planet where the survey team finds a ship from the Old Republic era. The ship is piloted by a Jedi explorer who ran into a celestial anomaly that launched him across space and time, causing a ripple in several universes where the canon and legend universes of the Jedi are fighting inside the same body for control. To keep both universes from colliding and ending them both, the ship is sent back through a black hole to remain forever in a state of conflict to keep the canon and Legends parallel universes from colliding and imploding on one another. In Episode 8, Mortis reveals itself to the Ajax following the disappearance of Commander Doom's unit in order to warn them of the chaos at the Maw installation and the coming conflicts that will feed the chaos and lead to its escape. The Ajax remains in orbit over Mortis as a shuttle lands on the surface and meets Revan. Light and Darkside Revan then fight one another and divide the Survey Corps as they are loyal to the Empire, but not exactly operating with the Empire support. Each Revan, being light and dark, is a manifestation of each side of the Force since the deaths of the son, daughter, and father, where there is no balance, and the dark side is strong but weakening to the light, and the longer Palpatine rules this Empire, the light side grows stronger. The immediate future wars are shown to the Survey team as each Revan fights one another, and in the end, the dark side, hidden and imprisoned in the Maw, is shown to be growing. The Survey team leaves unsure of what they saw and if it was even real or not. In Episode 9, an alien cloaked ship from the planet Centurion launched several surprise attacks on Survey Corps outposts. The Ajax receives a distress call and arrives as the cloaked ship is leaving, and they decide to follow it. Both ships each have the power to destroy one another, and each one hits each other's hyperdrive and forces the ships to continue at sublight speed. The alien ship puts all power into its cloaking device as the Ajax fires aimlessly around where the ship was last seen. The alien ship is eventually hit and destroyed when it makes a last-ditch attempt to fire at the Ajax with heavy lasers, which would require it to be decloaked. In Episode 10, the Ajax sends a survey team to the planet Globus Glob, where they encounter a clone unit that was lost long ago. The 157th Security Corps was sent into wild space to pursue a Separatist fleet and was marooned on the planet in the last year of the Clone Wars. The Confederacy of Independent Systems' fleet had been destroyed by a star, which also caused the Republic fleet to crash land on the planet. The clones are brought aboard to the Ajax and informed about what the Empire is and where they are both confused and uncomfortable. The 157th made the Ajax's official security team for their continuing survey mission aboard the Ajax, as they are still kinda uncertain about serving the Empire, but they figure that it's just a reincarnation of the Republic. In Episode 11, the Ajax lands on the planet Lubart, where they find a former Imperial governor who executed his people during the Clone Wars due to a supply shortage and an oncoming Separatist fleet. Palpatine wants the Ajax to bring the governor back to the galaxy to be an Imperial governor over a former Separatist planet, but the Ajax crew is very cautious. The former governor is also in a very poor mental state due to his regret for having been in hiding for so many years and committing a lot of war crimes during the war. The governor then commits suicide and the Ajax continues its mission. In Episode 12, the ISD Ajax encounters an AI probe from the High Republic era that merged with an alien probe from wild space and was enhanced when it was hit from a signal from Mortis during the Clone Wars. The probe destroyed the population of an entire planet without harming the planet itself as the Ajax arrives and sends a survey team down. The probe kills several Survey Corps members when it is perceived as attacks from them, and it is eventually fired out of the Ajax and destroyed with a gravity weld. In Episode 13, a rebel extremist group has been hiding on the planet Krovop and launching hidden strikes against Imperials in the Outer Rim from a secret hyperspace lane in wild space that leads to the core worlds. The Ajax is diverted from its survey missions to wipe out the rebels threatening the core. The Ajax intercepts a small rebel fleet that is returning to Krovop from an assault on an Imperial construction yard. The Ajax then bombards the rebel hideout and the Strike Force lands to capture any survivors, if any even remained. In Episode 14, the Ajax finds a Mandalorian society formed from the Neo-Crusaders on the planet Snoke. The Mandalorians have been conquering and pacifying various systems in wild space since the Old Republic era, but have been unable to continue their expansion due to a natural disaster caused by over-extraction destroying their ships across their factions that were landed on fault lines. The Neo-Crusaders see the Ajax's survey team as hostile, as they believe that the Empire betrayed them during the Old Republic era. However, using air supremacy, the Ajax is able to free the captive survey team and force the Mandalorians into making peace with the Galactic Empire. In Episode 15, the Ajax continues through wild space where they encounter an experimental Old Republic fighter where the Republic pilot has been in suspended animation for over 3,500 years. The pilot is woken up and is initially in disbelief about how long he has been frozen and believes that the Empire is the Sith Empire from his time. Following several non-lethal skirmishes, the pilot is subdued and finally comes to realize the situation. He decides to join the Ajax crew, but is very uncomfortable about joining the Empire, as he is debriefed about filling many holes from the Old Republic's history by historians aboard the Ajax. However, he is calmed down once several clones from the 157th give their situation to the Republic pilot, and they all believe they're in the same boat. In Episode 16, during the early Clone Wars, two V-19s on a long-range patrol are ambushed by a squadron of Vulture droids over the planet Renclaf in wild space. During the ambush, one of the V-19s flies through a fissure in time to escape the droids. The ISD Ajax then arrives at Renclaf in its time and finds the fissure in time where the V-19 starfighter flies through to their side. The clone pilot is brought aboard the Ajax and is interrogated, where he reveals where he is from. Upon finding out that the other pilot had survived the Clone Wars and would save thousands during the Battle of Kamino, and that he is now a high-ranking Imperial pilot and humanitarian, the clone escapes Imperial custody and is driven by a desire to save the other pilot. The clone pilot escapes in his V-19 and travels back through the closing fissure, where he comes out during the Clone Wars and saves the day over Renclaf in the Clone Wars at the cost of his own life. And that is Season 1 of the Imperial Survey and Exploration course, which was completely fan-made by me and is kind of a Star Trek version of Star Wars. What did you think about it? Was it good? Not good? Do you think some stuff could have been better? Or was it good the way it is? Stay tuned for Season 2, and thank you for watching.